The murders that happened in 1966 in Chicago by Richard Speck, who's a serial killer, is an event that will affect my family and myself for a very long time. And that's because Richard Speck, this is a mugshot taken by a Dallas sheriff. On July 13, 1966 in Chicago, he invaded a house full of student nurses. When he knocked on the door, one nurse named Cora Amora opened the door. And according to Cora herself, she said when he entered the building, she said that he smelled like alcohol and she could tell that he was high off drugs. He came in and said that he wasn't going to hurt them and all he wanted was some money to go to New Orleans. But she knew that she was in a lot of trouble because she could see the gun and the blade in his back pocket. She led him upstairs where he tied up Cora and 5 other nurses, as well as 3 other nurses who came later. So that was a total of 9 nurses. He led each nurse one by one to different rooms where he murdered and raped some of them. While he was raping some of them, nurses who were in the other room were hiding under beds trying to escape, but he found them anyways. He dragged them from under the bed, led them to different rooms, killed them, raped them, and by killing them, he stabbed knives into their throats. And he just left the knife there. He had multiple knives. Cora was one of the nurses who hid under the bed, and while he was killing the 8th nurse, she hid from one bed onto another one, and I guess he lost count because of how drunk he was. After realizing that after thinking he killed all the nurses, he left, and Cora stayed under the bed for 3 hours until right around 6 o'clock in the morning, where the warning alarm went off. And that's when she went from under the bed, jumped out of the window onto the balcony, and screamed, "All my friends are dead, I'm the only one alive, someone please help me." A few hours later, some police finally came to the scene, and that's when Cora gave the report that exactly what happened and said that the guy who was raping them and murdering everybody wanted money to go to New Orleans. When the police looked at the nurses and the knots that were tied behind their arms, the police realized that they were square knots, which meant that he was a seaman, so that was another clue that led them to him. And also, Cora recognized one thing from him, and that was a tattoo on his arm that read, "Born to Raise Hell." A few days after committing the murders, Richard Speck was checked into the hospital after trying to commit suicide for unknown reasons. While at the hospital, all he did was ask for water. He begged for water, asked many doctors and nurses for water. Finally, when one doctor went to go check up on him, he recognized the tattoo that said "Born to Raise Hell" and realized that it was the same tattoo from the police reports. The doctor then grabbed Richard Speck by the back of his neck and asked him, "Did you give those nurses water?" He then called the police. Richard Speck was sentenced to death, but because the Supreme Court overruled the death penalty, he was only sentenced to 50 to 100 years, but he didn't even last that long because he died in jail from a heart attack. Previous to his 8 accounts of murder that he was charged with, he had 37 arrests for being drunk in public, as well as assaulting a woman by holding a knife to her throat. Even after he died, though, he was still known to raise hell because in 1996, 5 years after his death, a video surfaced from the jail that he was in. And this video pretty much followed him and his prison mate while they were in jail. No one knows how they got the video camera, but it showed them doing drugs in jail, such as cocaine and marijuana, playing around with each other, and Richard Speck admitting to the murders. The reason this rose hell is because the world started criticizing the Illinois Department of Corrections, wondering, do you guys even watch the people in the cells, or do you guys let them do whatever they want? In the video, he was also quoted saying that, "If they only knew how much fun I was having, they would have turned me loose." And that became a famous line that he was known for. So you guys are probably wondering how I got all this information and how Cora is doing. That's because Cora Amora is my aunt. She's my mom's sister. Now she's still alive. She's married to Alberto Atienza, and she has 2 kids. Her daughter Abby Atienza and her son Christian. She has 6 grandkids, 3 from each kid: Jacob, Jordan, Jasmine, Tyler, Bailey, and Jaden, and they're all really annoying. On weekends, she likes to spend a lot of time with her sister. She has 7 sisters and 1 brother, and they like to do stuff such as gambling. They love going to Atlantic City, and that must run in the family because all the sisters love to do that, and most of the kids are just dragged along, which I think. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.